Your alarm goes off. Before your feet hit the floor, your thumb is already swiping. Swiping through emails that arrived while you were sleeping. Swiping through the morning's breaking news, which is already broken. Swiping through your calendar, a digital fortress where every 15-minute block stands like a soldier, guarding you from the terrifying void of unscheduled time. You have a meeting to prep for, a project to advance, a side hustle to grind, a workout to crush, a healthy meal to meal prep, and a social feed to curate so everyone knows you're doing it all, and doing it beautifully. Your day is a complex algorithm of productivity you run at full capacity, all day, every day, and you are exhausted. It's a specific kind of tired, isn't it? It's not the pleasant fatigue after a long hike. It's a soul-deep weariness, a bone-tired burnout from the relentless pressure to perform, to produce, to optimize, to be more. We are the generation of the hustle. We've been sold a gospel of productivity that says our worth is measured by our output, our value determined by our velocity. And the result is a collective, quiet crisis of anxiety, of stress, of feeling perpetually overwhelmed. We are, in the words of a 2,000-year-old text, anxious and worried about many things. What if I told you that the most powerful antidote to our very modern burnout isn't a new productivity app, a life hack, or a 5-day detox, but a psychological insight hidden in one of the shortest, most easily misunderstood stories in the entire Western canon? A story about two sisters, a surprise guest, and a choice that could redefine your relationship with work, with rest, and with yourself. The story is from the Gospel of Luke, and it's deceptively simple. Jesus, the traveling teacher, shows up at a village and is welcomed into the home of a woman named Martha. Now Martha has a sister, Mary, and as soon as Jesus starts talking, Mary sits right down at his feet, completely absorbed, listening. But Martha is not sitting. Martha is doing. The text says she is burdened with much serving. You know this feeling. The guests have arrived, and there are a million things to do. The drinks, the food, the coats, the comfort. She is the host. She's in charge. And as she's running around, sweating, stressed, she glances over and sees her sister just sitting there. And she snaps. She doesn't even pull Jesus aside. She walks right up to him in front of everyone and says, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me by myself to do the serving? Tell her to help me." It's so real, so painfully human. You can feel the resentment, the frustration, the sheer injustice of it all. And you expect Jesus to say, "You're right, Mary, get up and help your sister." But he doesn't. Instead, he says gently, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her." For centuries, this story has been flattened into a simple, almost insulting moral. Being quiet is better than being busy. Contemplation is better than action. Mary is good, Martha is bad, but that's a terrible, shallow reading, and it does a profound disservice to Martha, and to all of us who have a little, or a lot, of Martha inside us. To really understand what's happening here, we need to look at this not as a simple moral lesson, but as a profound psychological drama. We need to look at it through the lens of one of the great pioneers of the inner world, Carl Jung. Jung gave us a map of the psyche, and on that map are incredible concepts that help us understand who we are. Two of the most important for our story today are the persona and the self. The persona is the mask we present to the world. It's our social identity. It's your job title, your role as a parent, a friend, a leader. It's the curated version of you on Instagram. It's the competent, efficient, have-it-all-together employee at the office. The persona is not a bad thing. It's essential. It allows us to function in society, to collaborate, to navigate complex social structures. Martha. Martha is a master of the persona. She is the good host. It's her role, her identity in this moment, and she is committed to playing that part perfectly. The food must be flawless, the hospitality impeccable. Her value in this moment is entirely wrapped up in her performance of this role. And this is where the trouble starts. Jung warned that we often make a critical mistake. We confuse our persona with our true self. We believe we are the mask. We believe we are our job, our productivity, our social role. When this happens, the persona, which was meant to be a functional tool, becomes a tyrant. It demands all of our energy, and it is terrified of failure. It is terrified of being seen as anything less than perfect. The cry of a tyrannical persona is, I must do more. I must be better. I must keep moving. And the emotional fuel for that cry is anxiety. Martha's outburst is the scream of a persona stretched to its breaking point. Lord, do you not care? She's not just asking for help with the dishes. She's saying, my performance is failing. My identity as the good host is under threat, and nobody seems to see how hard I am working to maintain it. Don't you see me? But Jesus, in his profound wisdom, looks past the mask. He doesn't see the host. He sees Martha. He sees her anxiety. He sees that her frantic doing isn't coming from a place of joy, but from a place of fear. Her service isn't nourishing her. It's burdening her. She is not in control of the work. The work is in control of her. This is the very definition of burnout. It's when the persona completely hijacks our identity and runs our psychic battery down to zero. So what about Mary? If Martha is the persona, Mary represents the journey inward, toward what Jung called the self. The self is the center of your total psyche, both conscious and unconscious. It's the core of your being. It's the wise, still, quiet part of you that knows who you are beyond your job title, your accomplishments, or your social roles. The self is the source of all true creativity, wisdom, and vitality. It is, in the language of this story, the one thing that is truly needed. Mary's choice is radical. In a culture where a woman's role was strictly defined by service and domestic action, her stillness was an act of quiet rebellion. She refuses to be defined solely by the persona of assistant host. Instead, she chooses to nurture her inner world. She chooses to connect with the source. She is not being passive. She is engaging in the most vital, active work there is, the work of the soul. She is tending to the self. Jesus' response is not a condemnation of Martha's work. It's a diagnosis of her condition. He's essentially saying, Martha, your persona is starving yourself. You are so focused on the many things of the outer world that you have forgotten the one thing of the inner world, which is the only thing that can give meaning and peace to all you're doing. Mary has chosen the better part, not because being is better than doing, but because connection to the self must precede and inform everything we do. Without that connection, our work becomes anxious, resentful, and hollow. It becomes a burden. This is the central crisis of hustle culture. We have become a society of Marthas, running ourselves ragged in service to our personas, while our inner Mary, our self, is starving for attention. We build careers, accumulate followers, and optimize our lives, but we feel empty because the part of us that actually experiences meaning has been left by itself to do the serving. So the answer isn't to quit our jobs and go meditate on a mountaintop. It's not about destroying our Martha. The world needs Marthas. It needs people who serve, who build, who organize, who care. A world of only Marys would be lovely, but nothing would ever get done. Jung's ultimate goal for a healthy life was not the victory of one part of the psyche over another, but the integration of opposites. The point isn't to kill your inner Martha to liberate your inner Mary. The point is to get them to talk to each other. The goal is to create a flow, a sacred partnership between the two. It's about allowing the quiet, centered wisdom of your inner Mary to guide the actions of your inner Martha. When your doing is rooted in your being, work is transformed. Service is no longer a burden. It's a meaningful expression of your core identity. Productivity is no longer a measure of your worth. It's a joyful consequence of your connection to purpose. The anxiety of the persona is calmed by the quiet confidence of the self. This integration turns the tyranny of the to-do list into a liturgy of daily life. It means you can engage fully in your work, but you are not defined by it. You can be ambitious, but you are not owned by your ambition. You can serve others with incredible energy and grace because you are drawing from the infinite well of the self, not the finite battery of the persona. How do we do this? How do we begin to cultivate this integration in a world that screams for our constant attention? Jesus gives us the clue. Mary has chosen. It's a choice. It requires a conscious, deliberate act of will. It means choosing to carve out sacred time for the one thing. It doesn't have to be hours a day. It can be 15 minutes. It's the choice to turn off the noise and simply be present with yourself. Maybe it's a walk without a podcast. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's prayer or meditation. Maybe it's just sitting in a chair with a cup of tea and listening. Not listening for an answer, not trying to be productive, but just listening to the quiet rhythm of your own soul. It is the practice of strategically disappointing your persona in order to nourish yourself. Your persona will scream that this is a waste of time. It will list all the other, more important things you should be doing. And you have to have the courage to say, like Jesus, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried. But we need to do this one thing first." When you do that, you are choosing the better part. And the promise in this story is that once you have truly tasted that connection, that inner wholeness, it will not be taken from you. That connection becomes a permanent anchor, a resilient center that holds you steady even when the storms of work and life are raging. It allows you to serve with love, to work with purpose, and to live with a sense of peace that no amount of hustle can ever provide. So I want to leave you with a few questions to carry with you. First, where in your life is your inner Martha running the show? Where do you feel the most anxious and worried about many things? Is it your job, your relationships, your social life? Just identify it. See the persona for what it is. Second, what is one small, concrete way you can honor your inner Mary this week? Not as another task to check off, but as a gift to yourself. What is one moment where you can consciously choose stillness over busyness, being overdoing? And finally, what does choosing the better part look like for you? Not for your parents, not for your boss, not for your followers, for you. What is the one thing your soul is asking for? The wisdom of this ancient story is more urgent today than ever. It gives us permission to stop, to breathe, to listen. It reminds us that our greatest work is not what we produce, but the person we become. The better part is not a prize waiting for you at the finish line of retirement. It's not a reward for all your hard work. It is the source you must draw from before the work begins. It is the deep well of the self that makes all the serving, all the doing, all the living worthwhile. Choose that part, and it will not be taken from you. Thank you.